This Meghalaya-based founder from a tiny village quit her job with IBM to work with silkworms, building an ethical fashion brand. There's also this business selling a carbonated version of Northeast India's traditional rice beer in a can, and also Shillong's first food truck startup too. And these are just a handful of the Meghalaya startups that I've got in store for you today, and the state government wants to build the next tech hub of Northeast India right in Meghalaya, helping it to become a $10 billion state by 2028. And so in this video, I want to highlight 10 startups that are helping to make that happen. And of course, we're going to be starting off in the capital city of Meghalaya, Shillong. So this is the company that I talked about that's building a fashion brand that's both ethical and sustainable with silkworms called Kiniho. So this is something that you probably didn't realize about silk, but about 90% of the world's silk supply comes from mulberry silkworms. And the cocoons of these silkworms are boiled, killing the silkworms inside before the silk is extracted. But this village in Meghalaya called Dewan uses airy silkworms, which actually leave their cocoons naturally through tiny holes and become moths before their cocoons are boiled to extract the silk. And this is where Iba Mallai, the founder of Kiniho, was born. After working in Bengaluru at IBM, Iba returned to her roots in 2016 to start Kiniho as a cruelty-free fashion brand using airy silk. Kiniho collaborates with nearly 50 women artisans in the area to extract airy silk and makes these beautifully designed traditional clothes with it. Today, Kiniho is not just selling these products across India, but also exporting their products to other countries, laying the seeds for a global brand from this little village in Meghalaya. All right, now let's make our way over to the city of Tura, which is more than 7 hours away from Shillong, and it's here that the company 7 United is based. They're selling a carbonated version of Northeast India's traditional rice beer in a can. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Keenan K. Marak was experimenting with winemaking when one of his friends suggested that he try making baichi, which is a traditional rice brew. And up until that point, Keenan had never tasted baichi or even knew how to make it. But this single conversation was incredibly influential for him, and it led him to remote areas in Meghalaya where he met traditional brewers and tasted unique flavors of their rice brews. Keenan immediately fell in love with the drink and wanted to share this experience with the rest of India. And so in 2022, he partnered with local brewers to create a carbonated version of their rice brew and started selling it under the brand name 7 United. So far, 7 United has sold more than 50,000 cans and made 30 lakh rupees in revenue in FY24, and Keenan told us that all of these sales have come from just Tura, but he's now planning on expanding 7 United's presence to the rest of Meghalaya and also Assam, and he's expecting to close FY25 with 1 crore rupees in revenue. Now, while 7 United wants to make Northeast India's traditional rice beer mainstream, this next startup, which is also from Tura, wants to take a mainstream drink and create their own business. And the startup that I'm talking about here is the Tea Story. Founded by Abhi Silchi in 2019, the Tea Story is a premium tea brand that sources pesticide-free tea from its own gardens and sells it directly to their customers. And they've created over 50 tea variants using indigenous fruits and spices. And they started selling their tea anywhere that they could, from pop-up events to local markets, before going online and expanding their reach to the rest of India. And on a side note, Abhi was even kind enough to send a couple of their green teas to one of our team members for tasting. The Tea Story also has an offline presence outside of Meghalaya through their exclusive partnerships with high-end cafes and also boutique tea shops in Guwahati and Pune. And even though they are bootstrapped and profitable, they're currently talking to investors to fund their expansion plans, which include launching their own ready-to-drink teas, kombuchas, and their own tea experience center too. Next, I want to take you back to Shillong to meet the Chicken Wagon, a startup that launched Shillong's first ever food truck, and they want to build the Indian equivalent of McDonald's from Meghalaya. And just like Ray Kroc didn't start McDonald's, Kra Borba Karpuri didn't start the Chicken Wagon either. Kra was working at Zazira, which is the spice-selling arm of Chili Breeze, when the company wanted to start a food truck business in Shillong, and Kra was chosen as the one to lead this venture. He started the Chicken Wagon under the Chili Breeze brand as a roadside stall with a couple of tables covered by a tarp selling fried chicken and burgers in 2017. And this was really just to test and validate their street food before they opened their first food truck, but by 2019, the founders of Chili Breeze decided that they were going to be shutting down the Chicken Wagon when Kra stepped in, bought the business, and became the solo owner of the Chicken Wagon brand. And today, the Chicken Wagon has 3 food trucks and 2 dine-in eateries, which brought in 1.5 crore rupees in revenue in FY24. Okay, now let's make our way back to Tura to meet our next startup, OiHelp. And this company was founded by Avik Chakraborty and Nena Sangma in 2021, and this company claims to be the biggest food and grocery delivery platform in the entire city. They started their food and grocery aggregator platform during the COVID-19 pandemic to help offline retailers go online and increase their revenue, and so far they've completed 5,000 orders this year, and they brought in 28 lakh rupees in revenue in FY24. And Avik told us that Zomato tried to enter the city at one point, but they didn't last for more than a couple of months. Why? Well, Zomato was charging high commissions from restaurants, and these restaurants chose to stick with OiHelp because they were charging lower commissions. Now, Avik wants to expand their food and grocery delivery service to Meghalaya's capital city, Shillong. All right, now let's make our way back to the capital city of Shillong to meet our next startup, Jets 24/7. Founded by Pinskamlung W. Uria in 2020, Jets 24/7 is an online bike and auto taxi aggregator that uses a completely electric fleet for its operations. And while the founder told us that he started Jets 24/7 to address the problem of unemployment, traffic congestion, and carbon emissions, he also had something bigger to prove as well. He wanted to break the myth that tech companies can only be built out of cities like Bengaluru, Mumbai, or Delhi. In fact, they're the first ones to have an entirely electric fleet in all of Northeast India. And after launching their operations last year in August, Jets 24/7 has completed more than 23,000 rides so far, and they have faced tough competition from Uber and Rapido, but Jets 24/7's understanding of the local terrain gives them a unique advantage, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they can leverage that advantage in the future to become a leading player. All right, moving on now, the founders of our next startup want to showcase the beauty of West Garo Hills through tourism. Founded by Mark Bantora M. Sangma and Tangseng Marak in 2021, Baghmara Campers, based in Baghmara, is an eco-tourism company offering personalized and responsible tourism activities in the region, from trekking expeditions at Balpakram to cave exploration in Siju. The company brought in 35 lakh rupees in revenue in FY24, and they're now planning on expanding their presence across Northeast India and also into neighboring international markets like Bhutan, Nepal, and Thailand. And they're expecting this expansion to increase their revenue to 60 lakh rupees in FY25. All right, now let's make our way back to Shillong once again because I want to talk about Digital Fuel, a startup that's helping companies like Baghmara Campers grow their online business. Founded by Mansha Sharma along with her friend Dinak Deb in 2022, Digital Fuel offers companies end-to-end marketing services as well as individual services like running an online marketing campaign, video production, and social media marketing. Basically, they offer everything that you need to grow your online business. And when they started, their first client was Binok's family-run QSR called Scotty's. And when they first got started, they were only serving clients in Meghalaya, and they also were offering their services for free for the first 2 months to show prospective clients what they could do before they started charging them. But now they're running a profitable marketing services business catering to pan-India and even global international clients as well. Now, speaking of online businesses, this next startup founder has built a business selling handcrafted jewelry promoting their tribal culture online. Simada Marak started Cherri out of her hometown in Tura in 2017 as a hobby, and so far the company has sold more than 50,000 of their handcrafted jewelries across the country while providing employment opportunities to more than 30 women artisans. And operating out of a region which is known for its difficult hilly terrain, heavy monsoon, poor infrastructure, and limited market opportunities, Cherri has managed to build a decently sized business that made 35 lakh rupees in revenue in FY24. Now, just like Simada, this next founder started the company as a hobby. Bob Thankyou had returned home after staying in Bengaluru for 20 years of his life to help his parents with their bundle business just before the COVID-19 pandemic, but unfortunately that business shut down, and during the lockdown, Bob had found a new hobby in gardening. He found an unused coop house in his mother's backyard and he converted it into a greenhouse to grow these little succulent plants. And he started selling them on WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram just to see the response. But by October of 2021, he had actually opened up his own nursery called Little Sunshine Boutique Nursery, selling everything from small succulent plants to a wide variety of indoor and outdoor plants as well. And today they have more than 150 customers, but despite doing everything themselves, Little Sunshine Boutique Nursery only made a little over 7 lakh rupees in revenue in FY24. And Bob told us that one of the reasons for this slow growth has been the intense competition that they faced from other companies. There are more than 200 nurseries there in East Khasi Hills district alone, and so Bob has started offering other services like gardening, landscaping, and plant rentals to increase their revenue, and he's expecting to close FY25 with 15 lakh rupees in revenue. All right, I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and do check out our Startup Subcontinent playlist if you want to find out what other startups across Northeast India are doing, or even startups across the country. We've covered almost all of the states in India at this point, so do check that out if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.